Today on the show, we're going to be talking about Jericho from the Teen Titans. If you didn't know that he was created specifically to distance the Teen Titans from the Justice League, then this show is for you. So Jericho, or as he's also known, Joseph Wilson, would first appear in Tales of the New Teen Titans number 43 in 1984. Jericho was created as a direct result of how well the Teen Titans original characters did. These original characters included Starfire, Raven, and Cyborg. You see, Marv Wolfman and George Perez, the creators of this era of the Teen Titans, really wanted the Titans to be distant from the Justice League, because at the moment they really were a junior Justice League. So the team started out with a few original characters, and eventually another was added, then another, then another, then another, and eventually the Teen Titans became its own beast. It's actually worth noting that this was so successful that in the 80s, the Teen Titans was the best-selling comic book in the world. Something that I find very good about this character is that he's totally mute, and I mean totally mute. We have to find out what he's thinking through visuals as opposed to thought balloons. So Joseph Wilson, the youngest son of Slade Wilson, would eventually be captured by Jackal, who was a terrorist that had beef with Slade. Slade would go to a lot of work to save his son from Jackal, and Joseph would live, but he would be slit across his throat, thus rendering him mute. It's here that Adeline, Joseph's mother, and Slade would divorce, and Adeline would shoot Slade to kill him, but would end up shooting him through the eye, thus blinding him. Now, for all of you that don't know about Slade Wilson's children, there is Joseph and Grant, who are Adeline's children, and then there is Rose, who is their half-sister. Now, Joseph wouldn't find out about his powers until late in his teenage years. His powers were actually the direct result of an experiment that was done on Slade before Joseph was born. Eventually, the Judas contract would come about, and Adeline and Joey would go to the Titans Tower to give Dick Grayson information on Slade Wilson to help him save the Titans. It's actually in this storyline that Dick Grayson became Nightwing for the first time, and Joseph became Jericho for the first time. Basically, in the storyline, Slade had been contracted by the Hive to capture the Teen Titans, and he did so with the help of Terra. At the last moment, Jericho would possess his father and set all the Titans free, but Terra wasn't aware of this, and she would think that Slade had betrayed her, so she would go insane and bring the whole Hive complex down upon herself. Now, this storyline is actually very, very important for the emotional dynamic of the Teen Titans. You see, because of this storyline and because of Joey's link with Deathstroke, the Titans really didn't trust him right away. Titans that joined after this storyline really didn't have a problem with Jericho. In fact, he was very close with Cole, and over time he would gain the majority of the Titans' trust, but right when things were at their best, everything would go wrong. Now you see, because of Jericho's power and because he was always close to Raven, all the corrupted souls of Azarath that were unable to get inside of Raven possessed Jericho instead. At first they were very, very weak, but over time they would begin to merge with his very being, thus turning him evil. Now this essentially put Jericho into a dormant state inside of his own mind, while the souls of Azarath used his body to try and find more bodies, specifically superhuman bodies. The souls would take over the Wildebeest Society and capture the Titans, and they would also heal Jericho's throat, thus allowing his body to speak again. Eventually, the leftover Titans and Deathstroke would confront Joey, and a battle would break out. And in this battle, the original Joey would resurface and would beg for his father to kill him. Seeing that Joey was beyond repair and there was no other choice, Deathstroke killed his son. Jericho is one of the many Titans to have a memorial statue built of him in the Titans Tower in San Francisco. Years later, just at the start of the 2003 to 2011 Teen Titans series, it would be revealed that Jericho was actually hiding inside his father's body this entire time, but he was laying dormant, and he would only become active again when he found out that the Titan, Donna Troy, had been killed. He would take over his father's body and go to San Francisco and attack the new young Teen Titans in an attempt to show them that kids should not be heroes. At this point, Joey was very mentally unstable. He really couldn't control himself, especially in his father's body, so he ended up doing some really messed up things while intending to do good, like shooting Impulse in the knee. The battle was insane, and inside of it, Jericho would hop from body to body, possessing each member of the Teen Titans until Raven showed up, at which point she would absorb Jericho inside of herself and then disappear. Later on, when Raven was resurrected by Brother Blood, she would accidentally absorb the Titans and Deathstroke inside of herself, and here the Titans would have to battle Jericho. Eventually, Jericho would try possessing Cyborg, but he would use his cybernetic eye to put Jericho's soul onto a disc, and then he would store it inside of the Titan's tower. This is really a good example of where magic meets technology in the DC universe, and it happens less than people think, and every time it does happen, it's a really big anticlimax. This is just my personal opinion, but it's never been like an, oh my god, he's on a disc inside of the Titan's tower moment. It's always just been a, oh, that happened. After 1 year later, Raven would leave the Titan's tower with Jericho's soul disc and would resurrect him. At this point, he would rejoin the Teen Titans and would spend a lot of his time bonding with his sister Rose, who had become Ravager. However, in a battle, he would have to possess the Superboy clone Match to try and control him, and he would have to stay inside of Match's body until Star Labs could control Match full time. Now, what we didn't know was while Jericho was inside of Match's body, Match's psyche was messing with Jericho, twisting his mind and turning him evil, until eventually Jericho left Match's body hell-bent on the Titan's destruction. Jericho was so bad that eventually the Justice League would have to take him to the Justice League satellite and mind probe him, and it was revealed that Jericho was suffering with dissociative identity disorder. You see, every time he possessed someone's body, their personality stayed in his mind, meaning that all these personalities were battling for dominance in his mind, and the most evil, most powerful ones were on the top. A whole mess of things would happen, but eventually Jericho would try to possess Superman and wouldn't be able to control him, and in that moment, Jericho was able to control all the evil in his mind, and he would vanish. However, that wasn't the end of it. Later on, Jericho would possess Cyborg and rig the Titan's Tower security systems to attack the Teen Titans. Static would use his electronic abilities to create a feedback that would short-circuit all the electronics in the Titan's tower and knock Jericho out of Cyborg's body. At this point, Jericho would be taken in by the police, and Vigilante would turn up and would gouge Jericho's eyes out, thus rendering him powerless. At this point, all the personalities in his mind stopped trying to battle for dominance, and rather just kind of spoke to him in his head. It was a bit like his split personality disorder became schizophrenia. Over time, Jericho's eyes would be restored and he would regain his powers, and he would possess his older brother Grant and be a member of the Black Lantern Corps. I really want to save Jericho's part in Blackest Night for my Blackest Night video, but what you need to take note of is that Jericho tricked the Black Lantern Corps into destroying each other. Then, after Blackest Night, he would meet up with his father and would say that Deathstroke was allowed to kill him if he gave in to the murderous personalities that was still inside of his mind. In Brightest Day, Deathstroke would have an invention called the Methuselah device created. Now, this device could restore anyone from the dead and cure any ailments, and it was used to save Jericho, who was dying from leprosy. Now, naturally, this device was no good, but eventually it would be offered to the Titans by Deathstroke. Some of the Titans would say that yes, they would like to use it, but most of them would say no. A whole mess of things would happen, but naturally the device would be destroyed, and Jericho and Arsenal would create their own team of Titans. And after this, the New 52. Jericho is around in the New 52, but we don't really know much about him. I really like this character. I really like the idea of a hero being stuck in a mind full of villains. It's a very interesting idea, and I feel like they could do a lot more with it. That being said, I would like to see more from this character in general. They've really explored his possession ability and not much else. I would like to see how he feels love. Now, Jericho has possessed both males and females, meaning he's got both male and female personalities in his mind. So who is he attracted to? This is something that I want to know, but is he attracted to men and women because he's possessed both males and females, or is he still just attracted to females because he's possessed more males? We also don't really know this character much as a person. We know he's kind and soft-spoken and wouldn't hurt anyone if he had the choice. His power has been established. They did a really good job of that, and his power has a huge legacy behind it. Now give the character a legacy.
It's super effective!
Okay guys, that is it for today. If you think I missed anything about Jericho, please let me know in the comments down below, and also don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more history, and also don't forget to check out my Patreon and support the show, like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and check out my gaming channel. My name is Faust, this has been Exploring Comics, and it is super effective.